Hello students, so let us consider some examples in this lecture. Examples dealing with completeness. So let us first consider normal theta 1 distribution. So let us check whether the family normal theta 1 where theta is real is a complete family or not. So this is the PDF of normal distribution with mean theta and variance 1. So suppose gx is a real valued function such that expectation of gx is 0 for every theta in R. So what does it mean? It means this will be 0 for every theta in R. Now we know, or you might have studied the positive part and negative part of a function. So it is defined like this. So suppose g plus x is gx if gx is greater than 0 and it is 0 if gx is less than or equal to 0. So g plus x extracts only positive part, only positive values of the function gx. Similarly, g minus x is minus of gx if gx is negative and it is 0 if gx is greater than or equal to 0. So g minus x again extracts the negative part but with the minus sign. So it's like g plus and g minus are always positive valued, non-negative valued because it can be 0, non-negative valued parts of the function. So because x is a random variable, gx is a random variable and g plus and g minus are also random variables defined like this. Then we know that gx is simply the subtraction of the two. It is gx is g plus x minus g minus x. Let us see if this is valid. Suppose gx is positive, then gx will be simply g plus x, correct? See, g plus x, if gx is positive, g plus x will be equal to gx and g minus x will be equal to 0. And so this part will be negative, this part will be 0 and this part will be simply gx. Now suppose gx is negative, then g plus x will be 0 and g minus x will be minus of gx, and so as a result minus of gx will be simply gx, and if gx is equal to 0 then both are zeros, and so then as a result this will be 0. So yes, this expression is valid. You can easily verify this expression. So using this we can write expected value of gx as expected value of g plus x minus expected value of g minus x. So expected value of gx is equal to 0 will mean expected value of g plus x is equal to expected value of g minus x for every theta in R. So now let us try to use this to our advantage. So let us consider this. So integration expectation of g plus x will be this and expectation of g minus x will be this. So now you can split this. So 1 by root 2 pi will get cancelled from both sides. Then e raised to theta square by 2 will get cancelled from both sides, and what you will get is simply e raised to minus x square by 2 e raised to x theta here as well as here. So this is what you will get finally. So let us call this as equation 1. Now we want to show that gx is equal to 0 means for every theta in R, for every x in R, for every x in R, and for this is true for every theta in R. So for that we will need to show g plus x is equal to g minus x. So in order to prove that g plus x is equal to g minus x, we will try to conclude, or we will try to use this equation 1. Now to use this, can we somehow construct PDFs using g plus x and g minus x and this equation 1? Let us try to do that. So the immediate thing which we get from equation 1 is by substituting theta is equal to 0. See what will happen if you substitute theta is equal to 0? You will get integration g plus x e raised to minus x square by 2 is equal to integration g minus x e raised to minus x square by 2. So see, the moment you substitute theta is equal to 0, you get a simplified version of 1. So this here there is no theta involved, so this is a constant. So let us call this as c. Then we can use this, the fact that these two are equal and the common value we are calling as c, to construct PDFs based on g plus x and g minus x. So see how is it done. So suppose h plus x is g plus x e raised to minus x square by 2. Then we know that its integration is c. So we will divide this by c so that the integration of h plus x will be 1. Similarly, h minus x can be defined like this. So both are proper PDFs. They are in the sense they are non-negative and they are integrating to 1. So now what do we have from in the equation 1? So if we divide both sides of equation 1 by the constant c, what do we get? This c is a constant, so you can take it inside the integration as well. So you will have g plus x e raised to minus x square by 2 upon c, which is nothing but h plus x. So you will have integration minus infinity to infinity h plus x e raised to x theta dx is equal to h minus x e raised to x theta dx integration. So what you get basically is this integration, this and this. So now let us call this whole integration. This is now going to be a function of theta. So let us call this as q plus theta, this as q minus theta. Then it is interesting to note that h plus being a PDF and h minus also being a PDF, this integration is like computing the moment generating function with respect to the PDF h plus and h minus at the point theta. So that's why q plus and q minus both are MGFs with respect to h plus and h minus computed at point theta, and the MGFs are equal for every theta on the real line, means they match on an interval containing 0 as well. So when the MGFs match over an interval containing 0, it means that they are equal, means the distributions are also equal. So using the uniqueness property, one can conclude that since these two MGFs are equal over an interval, the distributions also must be equal, and so h plus x must be equal to h minus x. Now this is true for every theta, and so this will be true for every x in R. And so since h plus and h minus are equal, so now look at the h plus and h minus. E raised to minus x square by 2 by c is common there. So when h plus x equals h minus x, you get g plus x is equal to g minus x. So h plus x is equal to h minus x is equivalent to g plus x is equal to g minus x. And so this implies, or in fact this is equivalent to gx is equal to 0 for every x in R. So because entire real line is covered, so the probability that gx is equal to 0 is 1. And so this is with probability 1. And now see that this is happening for every theta. There is no condition on the value of theta, and so under each theta, so with probability 1, notice that this probability is actually probability measure which has indexing parameter theta, or which depends on theta. And so for every such theta this should be true. So under each theta in R this is true, and so this is a complete family. So this is how we prove that a family of distributions is complete, or in this case you can say that x following normal theta 1 is complete. Similarly, now let us try to understand another example. So this was an example where the support did not depend on theta. Now let us consider a case where support depends on theta. So let us consider uniform 0 theta, theta greater than 0 family of distributions. Let us try to prove that this is a complete family. So to prove that this is a complete family, let us take a function of x. So suppose gx is a function satisfying this expectation of gx is equal to 0 for every theta greater than 0. Now what is the meaning of this? Expectation of gx will be simply integration 0 to theta gx 1 by theta dx equal to 0 for every theta greater than 0. Now 1 by theta you can simply remove. So this is what you have. So now if you apply fundamental theorem of integral calculus, what do you get is, you can take this dabba by dabba theta, and the upper limit itself is theta, and so you will have g theta using the fundamental theorem of integral calculus. You will have g at the upper limit, so g theta into the derivative of this upper limit with respect to theta, which is simply 1. This should be 0 for every theta greater than 0. And so g theta, see dabba by dabba theta, if you take on this side, the derivative is again going to be 0. So I have kept it as 0. So g theta, this gives you g theta is equal to 0 for every theta greater than 0. So this theta is just an argument. So equivalently I can write this as gx is equal to 0 for every x greater than 0. Now what is the range? The range of x is going to be 0 to theta. So for every possible, and theta is greater than 0, means at most what are the possible range of x? The random variable x is going to be an interval on the positive half of the real line. So because this is true for every x greater than 0, it is automatically true for whatever is the support of the x. And so gx is equal to 0 with probability 1 under each theta greater than 0. See, if you had got gx is equal to 0 for every x between 0 and 1, then this probability wouldn't have been 1 for every theta, isn't it? It would have been 1 only for theta equal to 1. It won't be 1 for theta is equal to 2, because if you have, instead of for x greater than 0, suppose this is true for every x between in the interval 0 to 1, then when theta is equal to 2, the probability won't be equal to 1. So it won't be enough. So getting gx is equal to 0 only for a particular interval on the real line won't give you probability 1. So that is why if you want probability 1, the probability should be 1 for every theta. Now notice that theta is going to be anywhere on the positive half of the real line, and so because we have got this 0 for every x greater than 0, so we can safely say that this gx is equal to 0 with probability 1 under each theta greater than 0. So see, this is how theta matters here. So because of this, the family is complete. Now let us consider one more example. This example I have mentioned earlier in the earlier lecture. So the family is the same, uniform 0 theta, but there is a bit change. In the sense, there is a restriction on the parameter. The restriction is that theta is greater than or equal to theta naught. So instead of theta greater than 0, now you have theta naught. Theta is greater than or equal to theta naught. So the parameter space is not open interval 0 to infinity. Instead, it is a closed interval theta naught to infinity. So theta naught is a known positive real number. So theta naught is known. So you know the parameter space. So something like this situation is there. So is this going to be a complete family? So the moment you restrict the parameter space, what happens is you won't get this under each theta. Because of the restriction on the parameter, you can always come up with a function which is not 0, but the expectation of the function is 0. So how to construct such a function which won't depend on theta but will have expectation as 0? What is the condition? When you say that a family is complete, you take function of function of the statistic or the random variable involved in the discussion, and you say that expectation of that function is 0 implies that the function itself is 0. This is the condition to establish completeness. Now suppose you are dealing here with x, and x follows uniform 0 theta and theta is greater than or equal to theta naught. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to come up with a function of x such that the function itself won't be 0 but expectation will be 0. Now notice that this function, suppose gx is that function, this gx should not depend on theta. If it depends on theta, it is no more a function of x alone. So that care one should take. So it may be dependent on theta naught. The function which we are trying to come up with may depend on theta naught, but it should not depend on theta. So that's why what I have done is I have used a very simple trick. We have this situation, no? Theta is greater than or equal to theta naught. So somewhere here I have theta naught, somewhere here I will have theta, and this is the support of the distribution 0 to theta. So what I have done is I have broken this interval into two parts, this 0 to theta naught as 0 to theta naught by 2 and theta naught by 2 to theta naught. Now what my function does is it takes value plus c, where c is a positive constant, on this interval, and it takes value minus c on this interval. So what will happen? In fact, not positive. It can be any real number. So gx I am defining like this. It is plus c if x is between 0 to theta naught. It is minus c if it is between theta naught by 2 to theta naught, and it is 0 elsewhere. Everywhere else the function is 0. Where c is an unknown real number. So it can be plus 1, minus 1, anything you can take. So then what will be expectation of gx? expectation of gx will be simply 0 to theta gx 1 by theta dx. So now the integration 0 to theta you can break as 0 to theta naught by 2, theta naught by 2 to theta naught, and theta naught to theta. Now here, because it is 0 elsewhere, it is 0 even here in this interval, and so this last integration is 0, and now this is theta naught c times theta naught by 2 theta. Similarly, this is minus c times theta naught upon 2 theta, and so they will cancel each other and the expectation will come out to be 0. But you know that gx itself is not 0, because gx is not 0 at these two, on this interval 0 to theta naught, gx is not 0, and probability that x belongs to the interval 0 to theta naught is, because x follows uniform 0 theta, the probability will be theta naught by theta, and theta naught by theta is not 0. And so you can safely say that gx is not 0 with probability theta naught by theta, and so the family is not complete. One more example. I have discussed this example partially. I haven't discussed it complete. I have just left it here. So what I expect is, I expect you to solve this question and try to use whatever idea you can to prove this result that x ordered n is complete. Now what this has to do with the Lehmann-Scheffé theorem and all, that also we will see. But let us see one more example of a statistic. Right now we saw examples of complete families. In the sense, only one random variable was involved, x. Now suppose multiple random variables are involved. So suppose x1 to xn is our IID Poisson random variables with mean theta. Then let us try to prove that summation xi is a complete statistic. So how can we prove? So we know the distribution. T will follow Poisson distribution with mean n theta. So now suppose gt is a function of t such that expectation of gt is 0 for every theta greater than 0. So it will mean you have this summation. Now let us try to simplify this. So gt n raised to t upon t factorial into theta raised to t. See this e raised to minus n theta you can simply remove. E raised to minus n theta you can bring it outside the summation and then you can take it to the right side, so that you can simply have this. So now this is a power series, isn't it? This gt n raised to t by t factorial, I am denoting it by at. So this, what you get? You got the power series vanishing for every theta greater than 0, isn't it? Summation at theta raised to t. So because of theta raised to t, this becomes a power series. So what you get is this power series vanishes for every theta greater than 0. So now because the power series is vanishing for every theta greater than 0, it means every coefficient of theta, means of all powers of theta, should be 0. Then only you can have this. So all coefficients of all the powers of theta are 0, means at is equal to 0 for every t. Means gt n raised to t factorial is 0 for every t 0, 1, 2 onwards. And so, but n raised to t factorial, they are never 0. Na? 0 factorial is still 1. N raised to 0 is still 1. So gt must be 0 for every t going from 0, 1, 2 onwards. And so because you got gt is equal to 0, this is true for every t, all possible values of t, and so probability that gt is equal to 0 will be 1. And so t is which is equal to summation xi is a complete statistic. In the same manner, here I have considered completeness of discussed completeness of this minimal sufficient statistic. So we are dealing with normal theta square. So summation xi square is minimal sufficient for theta. So now is it going to be a complete sufficient statistic? I was a bit doubtful here. Why I was a bit doubtful? Because this normal theta square does not belong to exponential family. Does it? You try to answer this question. Right now I am unable to recall exact answer, but I was a bit doubtful. Hence what I did is I tried to explore different moments of these elements of this statistic t. So I am calling this summation xi as t1 and summation xi square as t2. So expectation of t1 is n theta, expectation of t1 square is n theta square into n plus 1, and expectation of t2 is 2n theta square. So what I felt is I can get two different unbiased estimators of theta square here, isn't it? One is based on T1 square, the other is based on T2. So see, what did I get was expectation of T1 square upon n into n plus 1 is theta square, and expectation of T2 upon 2n is also theta square. So the moment you get two different unbiased estimators of the same parametric function, you lose completeness, isn't it? Because you can, same time you can say that expectation of T1 square by n into n plus 1 minus T2 by 2n will be 0. But this itself is not 0. This random variable itself is not 0, and it is very much a function of this minimal sufficient statistic T. So you got a function of minimal sufficient statistic whose expectation is 0 for every value of the parameter, but the function itself is not 0, and and so T is not a complete statistic. So let us stop here. We will explore more about the completeness and its implications in the construction of minimum variance unbiased estimator in the next lecture.